you doing there, folks? Baiters here with a little bit of gaming news for y'all. As you may or may not have been aware of, there's been a bit of an outrage as of late in regards to the release of EA's newest title, Star Wars Battlefront 2. The outrage primarily comes from their use or abuse of microtransactions, more specifically, loot crates. But before we dive into all of that, do remember to press your nipples firmly against your viewing apparatus, and let's get to average baiting, baby! Now, before we talk about the seemingly negative effects of EA's decisions here, let's just quickly touch on the overall production of this title itself. There are so many people who absolutely adore the Star Wars franchise, including myself, and for good reason. These gamers, as well as myself, want more than anything for a good, a great Star Wars game to come along to keep their nipples hard for months on end. In all fairness to DICE, they have done an excellent job on this newest title, both visually and functionally. It's amazing to look at and really brings the Star Wars world to life on your screen. Functionally, it's a lot of fun to play with a skill-based element as well as progression system that can feel rewarding to the player. If these were the only components to this game, it would definitely garner a successful release and bode well for the franchise as a whole. However, the dark side has clearly taken EA by the balls here and decided to use this great game to bitch slap the average consumer into a financial paradox that leaves everyone unsatisfied and completely unfulfilled. Basically like every one of my ex-girlfriends. I'm just joking. I've never had a girlfriend. EA's received a lot of negative feedback from the gaming community even before the full release of Battlefront hit the shelves, as well as after the release. However, being as how they monopolize the space and are the only production company allowed to produce Battlefront games, they likely chuckled quietly to themselves in a dark room during a human sacrifice rather than pay any mind to their consumers. However, when Disney heard about how they were running this game, they had something to say. The report states that even Disney's CEO had gotten wind of the uproar in the gaming community and became alarmed. You guys couldn't see it, but I was doing the air quotes when I did alarmed. Yeah. Meaning that he kicked down the door where EA's execs were torturing small animals and beat them into submission with his lightsaber, aka his big beefy penis. Now, just to be transparent here, loot crates, although they're annoying as fuck, as you can't intentionally progress towards specific items that you're interested in, are not the major issue here. Loot crates, when they offer purely cosmetic items to a game, are again annoying because of their random nature, but they can be perfectly harmless. More often than not, gamers will still choose to spend their hard-earned cash on them just in hopes of making their character or weapons look better than the next guy. That's really not an issue, especially if you can still get those cosmetic items through progression in the game, as long as there's no requirement to spend money, and the things that you're getting when you spend money are purely cosmetic. This is a harmless thing. Although annoying, it is still harmless. However, the issue with EA's loot crates in Battlefront 2 was that they weren't purely cosmetic, and you could purchase them with real-world dollars. Two major issues here. The main one for gamers is that you might be better at the game than the mouth breather down the street from you. However, even a mentally deficient individual with a large enough wallet can get a serious leg up over other players, as long as they're willing to spend big dollars. So the game isn't about how good you are at it anymore, no, but rather how much money you're willing to spend on the game after you purchase it. That in and of itself is not only enough to give EA and DICE a bad reputation, but it can even tarnish the reputation of Disney and Star Wars in the process. The other major issue here is gambling. Gambling by definition is playing games of chance for money or taking risky actions in hopes of a desired effect. The loot crate system in and of itself can easily be considered gambling, as even when you purchase crates with real money, there's no guarantee that you'll ever get the desired thing that you were after in the first place, making you want to spend more money to reach your goals. This pandemic on the gaming world became very apparent, at least to me, with the release of Gears of War 4. This was the first time for me that I ever had to spend money, as in have to spend money to get a cosmetic item in the game after I already purchased the game. However, even if I spent money, there was this randomness to whether or not I could receive the item I was after. It became very apparent to me that I could spend hundreds of dollars on a loot crate only to have no guarantees I would ever get the item I was interested in the first place. Furthermore, with Gears of War, there was a limited time to buy the crates to get exclusive items. Although they were cosmetic items, there was still a time limit on it. So you had to spend your money now, creating a sense of urgency. This to me did not only make me want to stop playing Gears of War 4, but it made me not want to play a franchise that I enjoyed for years and years on end. It actually made me not want to purchase Gears of War in the future. Meaning that for me as a consumer, a game that I used to love and really adore like Gears of War was no longer a game I was willing to purchase in the future, as its business model had completely taken away from the enjoyment of the game. Where you can't directly buy the items you want, yet you can spend money on randomized loot crates in order to get better at a game, this not only incentivizes people to spend their money in the game, but offers no guarantees that they'll ever be able to stop. One person might spend $1 to unlock Darth Vader, while someone else might have to take out a second mortgage on their home just to get the same result. The randomness of these stupid fucking crates creates a sense of luck even when you spend your own money. Now, there are vast-reaching implications of this, especially when the items are not just cosmetic. This inadvertently creates an uneven playing field between gamers, depending on the size of their wallet and their luck in terms of opening crates. This hasn't just created backlash in the gaming community, as gamers have finally said enough is enough, you greedy fucks! I'm already spending $80 on this game. Just give me the shit. But in fact, politicians and lawmakers are getting involved as well. Hawaii and Belgium are looking into the gambling implications of these loot crates and may very well make them illegal in the future. EA has literally set some of the worst records I've ever seen with the release of a Star Wars game, and has now set a new precedent on greed in the sense that they've created a game so broken, it caught the eye of the judicial system as well. However, in spite of all this, Disney, the owner of the Star Wars franchise, did not want any hand in the dark side's evil plan to exploit all these gamers, and pumped the fucking brakes on the microtransactions before they could cause any serious issues to Battlefront consumers. However, they are far from fixing the issue with the game, as it still has many issues with its arcade mode and its progression system that are all geared towards these loot crates and money grab, if you will. Furthermore, EA has said they do want to re-implement some form of microtransactions in the future. What is really scary about this circumstance is that if Disney wasn't there to speak up, would this game have come out in spite of the outlash of prospective gamers? Knowing full well that we as gamers would still buy this game in spite of its flaws because it's fucking Star Wars, and Star Wars is awesome, right? Now, EA has exclusive rights to Star Wars and some sports games, meaning if you want to play a new Star Wars or NFL game, then you have to support companies like EA, no matter how out of touch with their consumer base they are. The fact that EA has a monopoly on some of its titles makes me weary of any games that they publish. Having a competitive environment between publishers is the only way we as a consumer are protected from mistreatment and abuse. And although Disney is smart enough as a company to see the bigger picture, I fear that companies like EA will continue to exploit their position in the future, finding new ways to separate us from every dollar we make. Companies like EA are like a leaky jar. No matter how much you put in them, they will always want more and more and more, and never feel full or satisfied. I can only hope that they will either learn from this myopic mode of thinking before it spreads like a virus to every other production company in the gaming space, or that these lawmakers will do us all a favor and make these stupid fucking loot crates illegal once and for all. And any game caught publishing one of these loot crates will get kicked in the taint until they can't walk without a limp. Yeah, that's a punishment we can all enjoy. As of right now, EA has stopped selling Star Wars Battlefront 2's premium currency, aka crystals. And this is their official quote.
As we approach the worldwide launch, it's clear that many of you feel there are still challenges in the design. We've heard the concerns about potentially giving players unfair advantages, and we've heard that this is overshadowing an otherwise great game. This was never our intention. Sorry, we didn't get this right. We hear you loud and clear, so we're turning off all in-game purchases. We will now spend more time listening, adjusting, balancing, and tuning. This means that the option to purchase crystals in the game is now offline, and all progression will be earned through gameplay. The ability to purchase crystals in-game
will become available at a later date,
only after we've made changes to the game. We'll share more details as we work through this.
This quote basically translates to Walt Disney literally got out of his grave and stormed into our office and beat the shit out of Kyle, our lead financial marketing guy, right in front of us. It was terrifying. Kathy from HR shit in her pants. And now, with Kyle in a coma, we're unable to find another way to get more money out of you guys after you've already purchased the game. But give us a few weeks and we'll come up with something really sneaky. Okay? It feels a little disconcerting that a game developing company didn't know they were creating a game that wasn't balanced for players when it takes hundreds of hours just to design one item in a game that large. It seems like an oversight that couldn't possibly have been overlooked on a project of this magnitude. That means they fucking knew it was there. They just didn't care, and they were just hoping they could get away with it. Yeah, the game's $60, but by the time they purchase everything, they'll spend like 30 grand on it. They'll have to take out a second mortgage, they'll have to put one of their kids up for adoption, it'll be great. In all fairness to DICE, Disney, and Star Wars Battlefront 2 as a whole, I would have to say this is by far one of the greatest Star Wars games I've ever seen, if not the best. However, this amazing game has been completely overshadowed by the sheer greed of the developers who've created it. Now, I understand that these are companies and the bottom line matters. Everyone wants to make money. That's great. But let's keep it within reason. Let's not forget that they made their progression system in this game complete bullshit in order to just make money, which doesn't have the gamer in mind. Making the progression system complete bullshit with their overuse of randomized loot crates, regardless of whether you spend real world money or not, loot crates are just a terrible progression model. I mean, when you do shit in game, you should be able to pick what you get. Not just fucking, oh, let's fucking hope that I'm lucky today and I unlock the skin I'm looking for. Fuck that. If you work hard on a certain gun or a certain thing, you should be able to get the things you want out of it, right? However, EA are not the only developers to implement this bullshit, so we can't just paint them with this brush. Call of Duty, Shadow of War, Gears of War, and so many other AAA companies have seen the money-making potential of these loot crates despite the consumer's apprehension. The reason this is all coming to the foreground now, when this bullshit has been going on for years, because if there's one thing you don't fuck with, it's Star Wars. Way to go, EA. Your inability to relate to your consumers puzzles me in ways you will never understand. Remember, though, I am not a journalist, okay? And all the information I have on this topic I received via the internet. So please take all the information I mentioned here with an open mind and do your own research to follow up. Now, if you're new to this channel, do hit that subscribe button. And if you're lucky, at the stroke of midnight, a little average baiter's fairy will come tickle your butthole. I hope to see y'all again in the next one, and keep on average baiting, baby.